So, we are deep in the forests of and I think I spot some creature, and I do, and it is actually a snake. Oh, Oscar, your hammock gives it away, mate. Doesn't quite look jungle associated, does it? Let's go back down here. You didn't see that. You did not see that hammock hanging up there. And you cannot see these cable ties or ropes, okay? Just imagine there is none of those there, and there are no rubber things, suction cups there. Or woven hammocks. But hey, it's bamboo, wood, leaves, branches, rock. Though I've never actually seen a rock this colour. Well, I have, to be honest. But there's more foliage over there for snakes to crawl around in. I love you people. I can't do it, but this is how I like to set my enclosures up. Even though in the reality they're not exactly, as realistic as the real thing out there. But I certainly do try, and I certainly know that my guys love them. Look at that boy, just curled up there. Yes, and Oscar is a coastal carpet python, and he is young, of course, as you can see. He's not an older snake, even though, yes, he's gosh, nearly, he is 2 years old, actually, and he's still a little dog. Well fed, but still a little man. And one day, he's going to grow to be quite a big man. So for now, this enclosure is actually perfect for Oscar because he has plenty of space on the floor. I've got to do more substrate and bake it and all the rest of it before I actually put it into Oscar's enclosure. I have put it over here into Archie's, and I'll show you that in a minute, but this is certainly just fine for Oscar right now. He's been down there actually exploring, and of course what I hate is paper doesn't exactly stay flat once they decide to get up under it and have a look around and so forth. But for now, Oscar has a hide over there, which is, the heat lamp is right above that, but there are plenty of things that are actually blocking the heat from getting down here. So in a way, that side is probably pretty much as cool as this particular hide would be for him over this side of the enclosure. But that's fine, because if Oscar needs to heat up or get some heat, he knows to come up here, and he does, and he this is his area, and it's beautiful and warm laying up under that heat. Of course, over here is another temperature altogether that is obviously, yeah, enjoying as well. And I see him laying in this hammock quite a bit, and he's actually due for a feed today. So I won't wiggle my finger too much in front of his face, although I've not known Oscar to actually ever strike at me either. That's not to say he wouldn't, with a pink little finger wiggling right there. But I've added these new leaves. I've done a video about purchasing them, and this was my purpose of purchasing them. I washed them with hot soapy water and rinsed them, and they have since been, sprayed with F10 and dried, and then put into their enclosure. You need to be a little bit fussy about things that you bring in and put into their enclosure, and I'm not, snakes are hardier than what people think they are. The main thing that you really would be concerned about, and that would be with your branches as such, would be your mites and bits and pieces like that. So of course, it is a good idea to soak your branches just in a mix of bleach and water, and that is 10% bleach and the 90% water rate, and then put them out in the sun to dry. And sun will get rid of everything and anything that is living on these things. Of course, I bought this driftwood from a shop, and a lot of the branches I actually bought were radiated prior to me actually putting them in the enclosure, so I knew that they were quite safe. But you can debark it. I sometimes like to leave a little bit on and a little bit off just to add some colour variation. They don't all have to be debarked at all, so long as you've done a good clean of them. They should be perfectly fine. So setting up an enclosure, and certainly this was for my older coastal, because he came to me at 16 months of age, didn't you? Hey, and to Mum you were still really that baby boy. And still I consider him to be a baby boy, as I do Archie at this point, and Archie is younger. But people worry about the size of an enclosure that they're going to put their baby in, and I do say that little snakes, I'm talking the Apanis, they do like smaller space, and Apani is an Antaresia, remember, so they are so tiny when they are born. Something like this would be rather daunting to them. It just would be. It's big, and I have covered in the sides and the back of this particular enclosure, as you can see, because you can put any colour, anything you like. And I've actually been looking around for something to put on that is just forests, beautiful lush green forest, and I'm looking at the moment to purchase that for these glass enclosures, because the likes of Apani could ultimately end up staying in or being quite comfortable in this one, or Archie for quite a while. Not Oscar, because Oscar is definitely going to get too big for it, of course, but Apani could ultimately end up and living quite comfortably in this one, which is Maya's. So I have plans for Maya as well, so they're all going to be upgraded to bigger enclosures. I can't see Archie. He's hiding in his hide, guys, because he's in shed, so That's his little thing. He likes to hide away when he's in shed. Oscar does too, as well. And that's them. Remember, guys, that is them telling you to leave them alone. You know, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to come out. I don't want to be handled in any way while I'm in shed. So please take notice of that. And I'm not saying the ones that are out in the open and are happy to lay anywhere and be in shed. And that's more likely to be an older snake, of course. But, you know, I'm not saying, I am saying, you know, it's a peace time for them. It's a rest time for them. So if you don't need to handle them in shed, don't handle them. I got Archie out yesterday and his eyes were blue, and I literally got him out and I picked him up and I put him up on the climbing area and just left him alone. And once I'd finished, I just got him down gently and yeah, I put him back home. So that is, for the moment, Oscar's enclosure. 600 by 600 by 750. Okay, so Oscar's is 600 by 600 by 750. Yes. And I have used this so many times. It's been a wonderful enclosure, and yes, it's glass. And so many people say they don't like them, that they're terrible, that, you know, they're old school, we've come a long way, and we have. They still exist and they're still being made, and I've had 4 snakes grow up in this particular enclosure, and I've had no issues whatsoever. And so don't let people tell you that glass enclosures are no good. You know, you can have a little bit of issues with humidity. As you can see, I have a towel covering one part of the mesh there, which helps to keep the humidity in. But apart from that, and you can give a little bit of a light misting if you feel it needs it. But otherwise, I don't see what is wrong with it. Of course, I cover in the sides because we do know that glass has difficulty in keeping out the cold more than anything I see it as. So for sure, cover in the sides, and I think it gives the snake also a further sense of security. Of course, I could take those sides off for Oscar because he's well and truly established in this enclosure. If you're also living in a much cooler climate than where I am, be sure to cover in the sides, even with cardboard, which I know looks ugly and horrible, but you know, in summer you can take it off over that warmer time. But it doesn't matter about what it looks like. It's a matter of taking care of the snake that lives on the inside of it. And also, I would recommend putting a heat mat down below as well for them over the really cold winter months. They will probably need it. I have also heat mats down the bottom of these big tall ones, and over the winter, not that any of mine really go to ground anymore. They used to, but now they sort of spend more time up the top or laying on the branches, and even though I haven't got the camera there, laying on the branches and so forth, than they do laying in a hide down the bottom. So, but winter, I would certainly be putting the heat mat on if I noticed that they were down there a lot. But otherwise, no, I wouldn't have a heat mat. They know where there's heat. They will seek it out all by themselves. And if the heat happens to be up top, that is exactly where your snake is going to go, unless they are feeling unsafe and insecure, and then they will hide, and they will stay down the bottom in a hiding. So in that case, and if I'd seen that with Oscar at all, even now, you know, I would hang something in front of this particular area so it blocks it off for him, and he will feel much safer and secure going up there. He does already. He's got an avenue of being unseen, should he choose, by going up and behind and up and around and getting up on that heat. He feels completely safe doing that. But Oscar doesn't need to do that because he's been in this enclosure for quite some time. He isn't a little one. People are afraid of putting their little snakes. I can guarantee you, your carpet pythons could manage this quite well. So long as you have lots of things in there for cover for them. They'll be as happy as Larry, as we say here. Honestly, they will be. When you put your heat mat in, I had a question asked. Bit of, you know, some people like to put the actual thermostat under the glass on top of the actual heat mat. For me, no. I like to bring the thermostat inside and put it on top of the heat mat, the glass, because I feel you get a better reading, because it's actually what you want to know is the floor temp inside your enclosure. And if I put substrate, if I put a good inch or more of substrate on top of a heat mat down there, I would put the thermostat on top of the substrate. Unless of course your snake is burrowing in and making a little patch there where they remove it all and it all ends up being glass. But honestly, you know, none of my snakes do that. They all sit on top of the substrate. I want to know what the temperature is on top of that substrate. So for me personally, that is what I do. I don't understand the reasoning behind putting it underneath the actual glass. I'm pretty sure the glass temperature probably does get the same as what is going on with the thermostat underneath the glass, but there's no reason why you I don't know. For me, logically, you need it on the inside. You need it on top of the glass because that's where they are. They're on top of paper. You know, if it's on top of paper, there's not, you know, it's very thin, so you don't need to have the thermostat on top of the paper. But, you know, an inch or more of substrate, you do. Absolutely you do. So, anyway, there you go. I started it with, we're in the deep jungles of northern Queensland, and we are going through the jungle trying to find any creatures that may be lurking in here. Yeah, right. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. Take care of yourself, your family, your friends, your snakes, and all your animals. Going to say bye? Going to say goodbye to everybody? Hey, Oscar? Ciao.